Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
Do you talk to yourself in the morning on purpose? What if the first words you say could shape your entire day? And what if a few simple phrases had the power to reprogram your mindset, one morning at a time? One of the most powerful ways to set the tone for your entire day begins with something surprisingly simple: self-affirmation. At first glance, it might sound basic, maybe even cliche, but don't be fooled. The words we quietly speak to ourselves carry immense influence over how we think, how we feel, and eventually, how we behave. Each morning, before the chaos of the world starts knocking, pause. Stand in front of the mirror and say something uplifting to yourself. It could be as direct as, "I am capable," or as grounding as, "I am enough." These aren't just feel-good lines, they are mental anchors. Solid, powerful, and deeply personal. They serve as the foundation for your day. You see, the mind is an incredible instrument. It begins to believe what it hears consistently. And when you choose to start your day with affirmations, you're not just saying words. You're actively programming your mind to align with a version of yourself that is confident, calm, and empowered. This isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's not about denying challenges or hardships. It's about preparing yourself, mentally and emotionally, to meet those challenges with strength and resilience already activated. It's about walking into your day with the belief that you have what it takes. Think about it. Every time you affirm, "I am capable," you're not only reinforcing your inner strength, you're also tuning your mind to recognize new possibilities. You begin to see doors where you once saw walls. You notice opportunities where you previously saw obstacles. It's not magic, it's mindset. And here's the truth. Self-affirmations are not just for the good days. In fact, they're most needed when the morning feels heavy and your spirit feels low. Because on those days, a single phrase might just be the spark that reminds you you're still standing and you're still capable. It's easy to speak positively when life feels light. But what about when you're carrying the weight of yesterday's regrets or the anxiety of an uncertain tomorrow? That's when self-affirmations become more than just helpful words. They become lifelines. In those difficult moments, telling yourself, "I am strong," or "I can handle this," isn't just a pep talk. It's an anchor. It's a quiet but powerful reminder that no matter how chaotic life seems, you possess an inner strength that can help you find balance again. There's a story about a man who carried a small, worn piece of paper in his pocket. Every morning and throughout the day, he would unfold it and quietly read the same sentence: "I am exactly where I need to be." He was facing a particularly rough chapter. His job was unstable, his relationships were strained, and the future felt more like a fog than a path. Still, whenever doubt began to whisper in his mind, he would reach for that note and read it again and again. Did that sentence instantly fix everything? Of course not, but it did something far more valuable. It shifted his mindset. Instead of drowning in the feeling of being lost, he began to feel grounded. That one affirmation gave him a sense of purpose and a quiet trust that life, even in its messiness, was unfolding as it should. That's the power of affirmations. It's not just about the words, it's about the intention behind them. When you say, "I am worthy," you're sending a message to your subconscious. You are enough, you deserve goodness, and you're not here by mistake. When you declare, "I am resilient," you're not denying life's difficulties. You're preparing your mind to rise when they come. Think of each affirmation like planting a seed in the garden of your thoughts. You won't see the growth immediately, and that's okay. But over time, those seeds take root. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll find your mind stronger, your reactions calmer, and your spirit more centered, even in the middle of a storm. And here's what makes this truly powerful. This isn't just self-help theory or feel-good fluff. Scientific research supports it. Studies have shown that consistent, intentional self-affirmations can reduce stress, improve your ability to solve problems under pressure, and even boost your overall mental well-being. So when you take a moment to affirm yourself, you're not just speaking, you're rewiring your brain to believe in your potential. When you speak affirmations with intention, you're activating areas of your brain that help reduce the sense of threat and increase your feeling of control. It's more than just positive thinking, it's emotional regulation. It's calming that relentless inner critic and inviting a more balanced, compassionate inner voice. And if you're wondering, what if I don't believe the words I'm saying? That's a valid concern. But here's the truth. Affirmations aren't meant to reflect where you currently are. They're meant to guide you toward where you want to be. It's completely normal if the words feel awkward or even false at first. Like any habit worth building, it takes time and consistency. The more you say it, the more familiar it becomes. And slowly, those words begin to shape what you believe. And what you believe starts to shape how you show up in the world. Picture this. Every single day you tell yourself, I am capable of achieving my goals. At first, maybe it's just a statement, but with repetition, it becomes a belief. And with belief, your actions start to shift. You take more initiative. You face challenges with greater courage. You bounce back from setbacks not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. It might seem like a small step, almost insignificant, but never underestimate the power of small actions done consistently. Over time, those moments of speaking truth into your life build momentum, and that momentum creates real transformation. And here's something even more powerful. When you live with this kind of intentional mindset, others take notice. Your friends, your family, your coworkers, they begin to see the change in you. And without even trying, you become an example. You show them that it's not only okay to believe in yourself, it's necessary. You create a ripple effect. One person standing in belief can inspire others to do the same. That's the beauty of self-affirmation. It doesn't just lift you, it uplifts your entire environment. So here's a simple challenge. Start today. Choose one phrase that speaks to who you're becoming. It doesn't have to be complex or poetic. It just has to resonate with the version of you you're striving toward. Say it in the morning. Say it in hard moments. Say it when you're doubting yourself. Say it when you're winning. Keep repeating it. Not until it sounds perfect, but until it feels like the truth. Because belief isn't a final destination. It's an ongoing practice, one that you build every single day with your words, your focus, and your intention. Each day presents a new opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become more of who you're meant to be. Sounds simple, right? But ask yourself honestly, how often do we really wake up with that kind of openness and curiosity? Life has a sneaky way of pulling us into autopilot. One routine bleeds into another. Habits become mindless, and before long, days blend into weeks and weeks into years. Without realizing it, we can fall into the habit of simply existing rather than living with purpose. But what if you started each morning with a different mindset? What if you looked at today not as something to get through, but as a chance to gain something new? That shift changes everything. It transforms your entire approach to the day. Suddenly, setbacks aren't roadblocks, they're valuable teachers. Difficult conversations aren't something to avoid, they're opportunities to listen, to understand, to grow. When you adopt this perspective, challenges begin to look different. Instead of bracing for the worst, you begin to lean into the lesson. Failure becomes less of a threat and more of a stepping stone. And that's powerful, because we all fall short. We all face moments of doubt, confusion, and disappointment. But it's not the stumble that defines us. It's the decision to rise afterward, stronger and more aware. Think about this. What if every mistake you've made was actually preparing you for something greater? What if every hard moment was crafting your resilience, your wisdom, your inner strength? That's the heart of a growth mindset. It turns what seems like loss into gain. It teaches you to see the closed door, and instead of giving up, look around and ask, where's the window? One of the most extraordinary gifts life gives us is variety. Every single day, you have the chance to experience something new. It could be a meaningful conversation, a different perspective that shifts your thinking, a skill you never thought you'd master, or even a quiet realization that reveals a strength you didn't know you had. Growth isn't just found in the big moments. It lives in the small, quiet ones too. It shows up in the work you do, the people you meet, and even in the pauses between tasks. When you're present, when you're intentional, those ordinary moments become the soil where extraordinary transformation begins to grow. This mindset of growth isn't only present during the big wins or clear progress. It often shows up in our thoughts, especially when things don't go as planned. Sometimes it speaks the loudest when life feels like it's standing still. There's a story that comes to mind about a young man who was feeling stuck in his career. He had ambition, he had talent, but the results weren't showing. Over time, the lack of progress began to drain his motivation, and frustration started to take root. One day, in the midst of his discouragement, he confided in a mentor. The mentor gave him a simple but powerful practice. Every day, he said, "Ask yourself, what did I learn today? What did today teach me about myself, about others, or about the world around me?" At first, the young man couldn't find much to say. His days felt repetitive and uneventful. But he kept asking, day after day. Slowly, his lens began to shift. He started noticing the small lessons woven into the fabric of ordinary life. The patience he was forced to develop while stuck in traffic. The compassion that emerged after a difficult conversation. The perseverance that quietly grew each time he pushed through a challenge. Little by little, his reality began to transform. Not because his external world changed overnight, but because his mindset did. His growth wasn't fueled by dramatic success, but by a daily willingness to reflect, to learn, and to grow. He didn't wait for clarity to arrive. He cultivated it through intentional questions and honest answers. And that's the deeper truth. When you treat each day as a classroom, you begin to see that life is always teaching you something. Not every lesson is loud. Some are quiet, almost hidden. They show up in the moments that test your patience, in the decisions that push you out of your comfort zone, in the pauses that challenge you to slow down and actually listen to yourself and to others. Sometimes, growth means learning how to say no, setting boundaries, prioritizing your well-being. Other times, it means having the courage to say yes to something unfamiliar, something uncertain, something you never thought you'd try. And the beauty of it all, this mindset doesn't just impact you, it radiates outward. When you live this way, open to growth, honest with your struggles, and curious about your journey, you lead by example. And people notice. You become a quiet invitation for others to reflect, to grow, to believe that change is possible. Without even trying to teach, you begin to inspire. You begin to create an environment where curiosity is encouraged and progress is celebrated. It becomes a space within yourself and around you, where mistakes aren't feared but accepted as essential stepping stones in the learning process. You become a source of encouragement, not only for yourself, but for those you interact with every day. Because when others see you embracing growth, embracing imperfection, it gives them silent permission to do the same. But let's be honest, learning and growth aren't always smooth or comfortable. In fact, sometimes they feel a lot like failure. Sometimes, learning requires you to admit you don't have it all figured out. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. There's a quiet strength in humility, in owning the fact that you're still figuring things out, that you're still evolving. And truthfully, aren't we all? There's freedom in acknowledging that you're a work in progress. A sense of peace in accepting that growth isn't about arriving. It's about becoming. Every sunrise holds a fresh opportunity, a new moment to lean into the person you're trying to be. And even on the days when the lesson feels distant, or the journey feels more like a struggle than a breakthrough, remember this: growth isn't always visible. Just like a tree extends its roots deep into the earth before anyone sees the branches stretch skyward, we too grow from the inside out. Some of the most critical changes happen in silence, beneath the surface. They're found in the quiet moments of stillness, in the discipline you practice, in the patience you nurture, in a resilience that grows stronger with every challenge you endure. And even if that growth feels slow or invisible, it's happening. Transformation doesn't always announce itself with noise. Often, it unfolds quietly in your mindset, in your choices, in the way you keep showing up. So tomorrow morning, or even today, take a moment. Set an intention. Tell yourself, today, I will learn something new. Today, I will look for ways to grow. You may not know how it will unfold, but you don't need to. The important part is being open to it. Because when that moment comes, and it will, you'll be ready to receive it. Embrace it fully, knowing that every part of your journey, the wins, the stumbles, the doubts, and the breakthroughs, is shaping you. Life isn't meant to stand still. It's a river, constantly moving, flowing forward whether we're ready or not. Life is constantly changing, evolving with every breath, and so are we. But instead of drifting aimlessly, letting the current pull us wherever it wants, what if we chose to swim with purpose? What if we decided to steer our own course with intention? Each day offers us that choice. We can wake up with curiosity, with an open heart, and with a readiness to grow. And when we live this way, deliberately, mindfully, life transforms. It's no longer just a sequence of days we try to survive. It becomes an adventure, rich with lessons, overflowing with possibility. That's where the journey inward begins. And it starts with something deceptively simple, acknowledging your worth. It sounds easy, doesn't it? But how often do we truly pause and honor our own value? We live in a world obsessed with measuring our success, our status, even our joy against someone else's standards. We scroll through highlight reels, we compare accomplishments, and all too often, we focus on what we lack instead of celebrating what we already are. But here's what we need to remember. You deserve happiness. You deserve fulfillment and peace. And not because of what you've done or how you stack up to others, but because of who you are. Your worth isn't something you earn. It's something you carry from the moment you begin. It's not defined by your job title, your income, or how many followers you have. Your worth is deeper than that. It's rooted in the uniqueness of your soul. In the fact that no one else has your exact story, your exact voice, or your exact heart. Every moment you've lived, every challenge you've overcome, every act of kindness you've shown, these are pieces of your significance. And here's what's powerful. When you start to believe in that worth, not just intellectually, but deep down, everything shifts. You walk differently. You speak with more confidence. You treat yourself with more compassion. And the world begins to reflect that energy right back at you. There's a story I often think of. A story about a young woman who struggled with self-worth for most of her life. She spent years trying to earn validation, chasing the next milestone, believing that maybe the next success would finally be enough. She kept chasing that feeling, believing that maybe the next accomplishment, the next promotion, the next compliment would finally make her feel worthy. But no matter how much she achieved, that deep sense of self-worth never seemed to arrive. It was always just out of reach, tied to the next goal. Then one day, a mentor looked her in the eye and said something that shifted everything. You don't need to earn your worth. You are worthy simply because you exist. Those words landed like a quiet truth she didn't know she needed. And from that moment on, something inside her began to change. She stopped chasing approval and started embracing her inherent value. Not because of what she'd done, but because of who she already was. And as she leaned into that truth, something remarkable happened. She became more grounded, more at ease. She began moving through life with a calm confidence, no longer driven by the pressure to prove, but by the quiet understanding that she was already enough. When you begin to acknowledge your own worth, the decisions you make start to reflect that belief. You say yes to what nourishes you and no to what drains you. You begin to protect your time and your peace because you finally understand they're valuable. You surround yourself with people who uplift you, who see and celebrate your worth, not those who constantly question it. You let go of relationships, habits, and environments that keep you small. You pursue your dreams, not because you're trying to prove your value to anyone, but because you finally believe you're deserving of a joyful, fulfilling life. One that aligns with your truth. But let's be honest, one of the greatest barriers to fully recognizing our worth is the quiet, persistent voice inside our heads. The one that whispers, "You're not enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, not successful, attractive, disciplined enough." That voice can feel convincing. But here's what we often forget. That voice isn't the truth. It's a mirror of our insecurities, our fears, and sometimes the echoes of things others have said to us, things we never should have believed. It is not reality. It is not your identity. The real truth? You are more than enough. You are capable, you are valuable, and you carry something within you that no one else can replicate. When you wake up each day and say, "I deserve happiness. I deserve success," you're not being selfish. You're not being arrogant. You're simply setting a new standard, one rooted in self-respect and belief in your worth. When you begin to define how you want to live, intentionally and unapologetically, you're making a powerful declaration. You're reminding yourself that it's not only okay to take up space, but that you have every right to dream boldly and to pursue those dreams with everything inside you. And when you start living from that truth, something beautiful happens. You unconsciously give others permission to do the same. You become a living example of self-acceptance. You send a message to the people around you that it's not only possible to embrace your worth, but it's transformational. And that ripple effect, it spreads. It has the power to change lives. Not just yours, but the lives of those who witness your courage, your authenticity, your growth. But here's what matters even more. Acknowledging your worth isn't just for the good days. It's easy to feel worthy when everything is going smoothly, when you're achieving, when people are praising you. The real test is how you speak to yourself when things aren't going well. On the days when you feel like you've failed, when mistakes feel heavy, when life doesn't go according to plan. Especially on those days, you need to look inward and say, "I am still worthy." Because your worth does not fluctuate based on your performance. It is not reduced by your struggles. It doesn't disappear when you're stuck or uncertain. Your value is not up for negotiation. It is constant. It is inherent. Yes, there will be moments when people may not see your worth, when doors don't open, when relationships fall apart, when circumstances challenge your peace. But none of that changes who you are at your core. The truth is, the only person who absolutely needs to recognize your worth is you. Because when you believe it, when you carry it, no one and nothing can take it away from you. And that belief becomes your strength. It becomes your quiet armor. It fuels your resilience. It helps you walk taller, speak clearer, and navigate the world with a grounded sense of who you are. When you embrace your self-worth, it begins to shape every part of your life. It transforms how you face challenges. It changes the way you relate to others. It gives you the confidence to pursue your goals with boldness. And it opens you up to new opportunities, not out of desperation, but from a place of deep belief that you are deserving of the good things life has to offer. So when setbacks come, and they will, your sense of self-worth is what helps you rise. It gives you the strength to dust yourself off, stand back up, and keep moving forward, not because life is easy, but because you've remembered who you are. Keep moving forward. Every single morning, before the world starts making its demands, take a quiet moment just for yourself. Ground yourself and remind yourself, out loud if you need to, "I deserve happiness. I deserve success." Let those words settle into your spirit, not as wishful thinking, but as a truth you're choosing to stand on. At first, it might feel unfamiliar or even forced, but say it anyway. Repeat it until it begins to take root. Over time, you'll find that as you begin to live from a place of inner worthiness, the world responds. It mirrors back the energy you carry. Opportunities start to show up where there once were barriers. Relationships become richer, more aligned. And that quiet ache for fulfillment, it begins to ease. Not because you've finally earned your worth, but because you've finally embraced the truth that it's always been there. And from that place of worthiness comes another powerful force, gratitude. gratitude has the power to completely shift your perspective. It changes the way you see what's right in front of you. It transforms even the ordinary into something meaningful. When you intentionally pause and say, "I'm grateful for what I have," you're not just recognizing the goodness in your life. You're also creating space for more of it to enter. Gratitude isn't reserved for the big, shining victories. It's found in the small, quiet moments too. The smell of fresh coffee in the morning, a kind word from a friend, the comfort of a familiar song, or the peace of simply making it through a hard day. These are the everyday blessings we often overlook. But when we begin to see them clearly, they become fuel for a more joyful, grounded life. It's easy to rush past these moments, to focus only on what's missing. But when you make space for gratitude, you're training your mind to seek the good, to notice what's working, and to appreciate even the things that once felt invisible. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and instead of reaching for your phone or diving headfirst into your to-do list, you simply pause. You take a deep breath, and you whisper, "Thank you. Thank you for the roof over your head, for the bed that kept you warm through the night, for the quiet gift of a brand new day and a chance to begin again. Thank you for the people in your life who care about you, for the relationships that bring warmth, laughter, and connection. Thank you even for the struggles, the uncomfortable moments, and the tough conversations, because somehow they're shaping you too." When you begin your day from a place of gratitude, everything that follows begins to feel different. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses. You're no longer scanning for what's missing. You're noticing what's already here. Gratitude becomes a lens through which your day is viewed, shifting your focus from lack to abundance, from pressure to presence. Of course, life isn't always easy. There will be days that feel overwhelming, when things fall apart, when plans unravel, and when stress feels like it's pressing in from every direction. On those days, especially, it may feel hard to find anything to be thankful for. But that's exactly when gratitude matters most. Because sometimes, gratitude isn't about celebrating what's perfect. It's about reaching for light in the darkness. It's about noticing the small moments, a kind word from a stranger, a warm cup of coffee, a few minutes of stillness when you finally get to breathe. It might even be as simple as recognizing your own quiet strength for making it through a hard day. Gratitude is more than a feeling. It's a practice. It's something you can intentionally choose to cultivate. Like any discipline, it might feel awkward at first, especially when life has been heavy. But over time, as you train your mind to search for even the smallest signs of goodness, something begins to shift. You'll begin to notice beauty in the ordinary, comfort in the routine, and hope even in the waiting. Eventually, you'll come to realize that gratitude isn't just something you feel after good things happen. It's a way of being, a way of showing up to life with your eyes open to the gift that have been there all along. And there's a story I often think of, a quiet, powerful reminder of what this mindset can look like in action. There was a man who, every evening before going to bed, would write down 3 things he was grateful for. On the good days, his list was easy to fill. He'd jot down things like a promotion at work, an afternoon full of laughter with friends, or the beauty of a glowing sunset. But it was the harder days that revealed the true strength of his habit. On those days, his entries looked different. They were simple: "I made it through today, I have a bed to sleep in," or even "Tomorrow is a new day." And yet, those small reflections carried just as much power. By consistently taking time to recognize something, anything to be thankful for, he developed more than just a habit. He shaped a mindset that searched for the good, even when it was buried under the weight of struggle. Over time, this simple daily ritual helped him build something profound: resilience. He found quiet joy, even in seasons of hardship, not because his circumstances changed overnight, but because his perspective did. Gratitude doesn't require us to deny reality or pretend things are better than they are. It's not about putting on a fake smile or ignoring pain. It's about balance. It's the act of holding both truths at once, the struggle and the beauty. It's the ability to say, yes, this is hard, while also saying, and yet there's still something here I can be thankful for. When you begin to focus on what you do have, instead of what you lack, something begins to shift. You start to realize how much you've been overlooking. You begin to understand that even when life feels chaotic or uncertain, there's still grace in motion. There's still hope quietly present. There's still something, however small, that's worth appreciating. One of the most powerful qualities of gratitude is its ripple effect. When you express gratitude, not just silently in your thoughts, but out loud to others, it spreads. A sincere thank you can brighten someone's entire day. Telling someone you appreciate them can shift the energy of a conversation. Sharing your own gratitude out loud might just inspire someone else to pause and reflect on the blessings in their life too. Gratitude is contagious. It changes the tone of a moment, the atmosphere of a room, and sometimes even the direction of a life. And this isn't just a feel-good idea. There's solid science behind it. Research shows that gratitude improves mental well-being, boosts overall happiness, and even enhances physical health. It lowers stress levels, increases emotional resilience, and helps us move through life with a deeper sense of connection and peace. Gratitude has the power to shape our relationships, our emotions, and even our future. It's a small act, yet it carries a tremendous impact. A simple shift in focus, away from what's missing and toward what's already present, can lead to profound change. And while gratitude often begins in quiet moments of reflection, it's just as powerful when used in the midst of chaos. When stress builds, when anxiety takes over, or when life feels like it's spinning out of control, take a breath. Pause and find just one thing you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of sunlight on your face, the support of a friend, or the strength you didn't know you had until now. It won't magically erase the problem, but it will center you. It will bring you back to solid ground. Because even in the storm, gratitude gives you something steady to hold on to. Each day, make it a habit to express your gratitude. You can write in a journal, speak it aloud, or quietly acknowledge it in your heart. Let it become part of your daily rhythm, a thread that runs through everything you do. And as you do, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. Gratitude doesn't just shift how you see the world. It slowly changes how the world responds to you. You'll carry a calm presence, a quiet joy, a lightness that others can sense, even if they can't quite explain it. Gratitude isn't about having everything you want. It's about appreciating everything you already have. It's a way of living. With an open heart, with humility, and with the awareness that life itself is a gift. When you begin each day rooted in gratitude, you naturally invite more good into your life. It's like creating a current of positivity, a flow that not only nourishes your own mindset, but also uplifts everyone around you. That ripple of goodness, it's real, and it's worth cultivating. Life is filled with opportunities, but they don't always arrive with grand announcements. They're not always wrapped in clarity. Sometimes they show up quietly, in small steps, in moments that seem ordinary, in challenges that disguise themselves as setbacks. Sometimes they arrive when you least expect it, but they're there. Sometimes opportunities come disguised as detours, delays, or even disappointments. They lead us through doors we never thought to open. But if you keep your heart and mind open each day, you'll find that there's always a path forward, a new way to grow, a small step you can take to make a meaningful difference. Telling yourself, today is a new opportunity to make a difference, isn't just a feel-good phrase. It's a mindset. It's a call to action. Each morning greets you with a fresh start, no matter how yesterday unfolded. And that's powerful, because every new day is like a blank page waiting for you to write a different story. A better story, one choice at a time. Isn't it incredible to think that every sunrise carries an invitation to do better, to be better, to grow into the person you're meant to become? And here's the beautiful part. Making a difference doesn't require grand gestures or big breakthroughs. In fact, it's often the smallest acts that leave the most lasting impact. A kind word, a gentle smile, a helping hand offered without being asked. These things may feel ordinary in the moment, but they have the power to shift someone's entire day. Sometimes, they even change a life. I once heard a story about a man who was in a really dark place. He felt unseen, like he was fading into the background of the world around him. Nothing felt certain anymore. He was walking down the street, consumed by thoughts of worthlessness, when a stranger passed by and offered him a warm, genuine smile. Just that, nothing more. But that moment changed something. For the first time in a while, he felt noticed, valued, human. That small act became a spark, a reminder that he mattered. That single smile, seemingly insignificant to the person who gave it, became a turning point in someone else's life. It's a powerful reminder. Making a difference doesn't always come through achievements or accolades. More often, it begins with the smallest expression of compassion. The decision to look someone in the eye, to listen, to care. Because every great ripple starts with one drop. And sometimes the simplest act of kindness can echo further than we ever imagined. It all begins with a single step. Not a perfect step, not a grand gesture. Just the willingness to show up, to be fully present, and to do what you can right where you are with whatever you have. Maybe it's through your work, through the care you give in your relationships, through lending a hand to someone in need, or simply by choosing to live your life with honesty, compassion, and integrity. Sometimes, making a difference comes through pursuing what sets your soul on fire, through creating something meaningful, expressing your unique gifts, or even sharing your personal story in a way that inspires others to find their own strength. It doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. And it's not only about the impact you make on the lives of others. It's also about the impact you make on your own life. When you say yes to growth, to possibility, to stretching beyond what's comfortable, you're choosing to invest in yourself. You're not just existing day to day. You're building a life that feels truly lived. You're creating a legacy, not through dramatic milestones, but through the small, consistent choices that shape who you are becoming. Sometimes, making a difference means taking a leap. It requires you to step outside your comfort zone, face your doubts, and believe, deep down, that what you bring to the table matters. It means choosing courage, even when fear feels louder. It means trusting the process, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Is it always easy? No. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Because every time you challenge yourself to grow, even just a little, you open new doors. You set something in motion. You create a ripple that doesn't just affect your path. It inspires movement in others as well. And here's something we often forget. Our actions carry more power than we realize. Too often we think, what difference can I really make? But history and everyday life is full of examples proving otherwise. Change happens because someone, somewhere decided to try. They didn't wait until they had all the answers. They didn't wait for permission. They simply acted. They chose to believe their effort mattered. And over time, those small, steady efforts, they become something extraordinary. They become the reason someone else dares to try. They become the light that cuts through the noise. They become the legacy that lasts. Making a difference doesn't always come with immediate results. Sometimes, you're planting seeds that won't bloom for weeks, months, or even years. And while it can be discouraging not to see instant change, that doesn't mean your effort is wasted. Just because you can't see the ripple right now doesn't mean it isn't moving. Your kindness, your consistency, your determination, they all carry weight. They stretch far beyond the moment, often reaching places and people you may never even realize. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that real opportunities are rare, that they only show up once in a while, or that they're reserved for the lucky few. But the truth is, opportunities are everywhere. They live in everyday conversations. They show up in decisions we make, in the way we listen, and how we show up for others. Every interaction holds the potential to create change. It all starts with being present, with paying attention, with choosing to be intentional in how you move through the day. What if you asked yourself each morning, What can I do today that will bring just a little more light into the world? That one question can change everything. Because when you approach the day with that kind of mindset, you begin to see things differently. You stop waiting for the perfect timing or ideal conditions. You realize you don't need more tools, more credentials, or more clarity to begin. You can start exactly where you are with whatever you have in your hands. You create opportunity by choosing to be kind, by choosing to be courageous, by choosing to be someone who brings value, hope, and goodness into the spaces you walk through. That is the essence of making a difference. Each day is a gift. It's a blank page, a chance to add a new line, a new paragraph to the story of your life. No one else can tell your story the way you can. Your voice, your insight, your perspective, they're completely your own, and they matter more than you might believe. When you live each day with the intention of doing something meaningful, no matter how small, you infuse your life with deeper purpose. You begin to experience fulfillment that doesn't rely on external rewards, but grows from within. So as you step into your next day, and every day after, remind yourself, today is a new opportunity to make a difference. Then go out and do just that. No matter how simple the action, it matters. And it adds up. Even when your actions feel small, almost invisible, trust that they matter. Trust that the difference you make today is part of a much greater impact, one that may stretch far beyond what you can see. Sometimes the results aren't immediate, and the ripple effect isn't obvious. But that doesn't mean it isn't happening, because the truth is, life isn't always simple or smooth. Every one of us will walk through seasons of challenge, times when disappointment lingers, when uncertainty clouds our path, and when the weight of responsibility feels almost too heavy to carry. There will be days when everything seems to go wrong and nothing looks hopeful. It's in those very moments that we need to reach for one unwavering truth. I can get through anything. That isn't just a motivational phrase, it's a declaration, a powerful reminder of your inner strength, of your resilience, of the fact that within you is a capacity to endure, to rise again, and to grow through what you face. Resilience isn't about pretending everything's okay or avoiding failure altogether. It's about choosing to get back up again and again, even when everything in you wants to quit. It's about continuing to take that next step, even when the road ahead looks uncertain. It's about holding on to hope, even when doubt surrounds you. Because life will test you. It will hand you obstacles that seem too big, too painful, or too unfair. But within those tests is a quiet opportunity, a chance to prove to yourself just how capable and strong you really are. Time and again, I've seen adversity bring out the very best in people. When hardship strikes, there's always a choice. You can let it break you, or you can let it shape you. You can allow the pain to define your story, or you can let it refine your purpose. Sometimes the most powerful growth doesn't happen in comfort, but in crisis. The strength to persevere doesn't come from avoiding the hard times. It's forged in the middle of them. It's born when you choose to face the darkness, not with fear, but with faith. When you choose to search for light, even when everything around you feels dim. And isn't that the quiet beauty of resilience? It whispers, keep going, even now, especially now. There's a story I often think about. A young man who lost everything he owned in a fire. His home, his belongings, every piece of his physical life was reduced to ash. He stood there, staring at what was once his world, and he had every reason to feel broken. He had every excuse to give up, to turn bitter, to let the pain define him. But he didn't. Instead, in the middle of his loss, he made a quiet decision. This is not the end of my story. And from that moment forward, he began to rebuild, not just the walls and furniture, but his inner world. He leaned on his faith, on the people who loved him, and on the deep well of strength within himself. It wasn't quick. It wasn't easy, but step by step he recovered. And more than that, he flourished. He didn't just return to the life he had. He created a new one rooted in gratitude, shaped by purpose, and guided by a deeper understanding of what truly matters. His story became a powerful reminder of what resilience really means. Because resilience isn't loud. It's not always heroic in the traditional sense. Sometimes it's quiet. It's steady. It's the voice inside you that says, keep going, even when you're tired, even when you're unsure. And that kind of strength, it lives in all of us. We all have access to that quiet resolve. It might not always feel like strength. There will be days when you feel overwhelmed, when the doubts feel heavier than your hope. But strength isn't the absence of fear or exhaustion. True strength is continuing on despite those things. It's about taking just one more step, finding one more reason to believe, holding on to hope, even if it feels like it could slip through your fingers at any moment. And in those moments of difficulty, when life feels especially heavy, there's one more thing we must remember. Be kind to yourself. It's tempting to turn inward with blame, to dwell on what you should have done differently, to criticize yourself for struggling. But being hard on yourself only makes the weight feel heavier. What we often forget is that healing begins with self-compassion, with the courage to speak to yourself with the same gentleness and care that you would offer to someone you love. So when you find yourself in a difficult place, pause. Remind yourself, it's okay to be here. It's okay to feel this. It's okay to not have it all figured out yet. It's okay to struggle. It's okay not to have all the answers. And it's more than okay to admit that you're still figuring things out. Because what matters most is that you keep moving forward, no matter how uncertain or unsteady that movement may feel. Sometimes, the greatest strength isn't found in pushing through alone. It's found in reaching out. There is absolutely no weakness in asking for help. In fact, it takes incredible courage to say, I can't do this by myself. Whether it's leaning on family, seeking comfort in your community, or turning to your faith, there's power in realizing that you don't have to carry everything on your own. Life was never meant to be walked alone. And when you share your burdens, even just a little, something remarkable happens. The weight starts to lift. Hope finds its way back in. And suddenly, what felt impossible becomes more manageable. But as you journey through difficulty, don't forget to pause and honor the small victories. Because when you're in the middle of a tough season, every single step forward counts. It could be as simple as getting out of bed when everything in you wants to stay down, or showing up for work, for your family, for yourself, even when you feel drained. It could be finding one reason to smile, even if your heart still feels heavy. These moments may seem minor, but they are anything but. They're proof that you are stronger than what's trying to break you. They are reminders that you're still here, still trying, still believing in something better, even if you can't fully see it yet. And if there's one truth to hold on to, it's this: life moves in seasons. No season lasts forever. The winter may feel long, harsh, and cold, but spring always returns. Storms may rage for a time, but the sun eventually breaks through the clouds. Holding on to that truth can be your lifeline when giving up feels easier than going on. Because what you're facing right now, it's just one chapter, not your whole story. And the pain, the setbacks, the moments you wish you could skip, they're not wasted. They're shaping you. They're refining your strength. They're preparing you for what's next. When you look back over the course of your life, it won't just be the smooth, joyful seasons that define you. It will be the moments you chose to rise in the face of hardship. The moments you kept showing up, kept holding on, kept believing, especially when it was hardest to do so. Keep going. Remember the moments when you discovered strength you didn't even know you had, when adversity pushed you to your limits, and yet you rose anyway. The trials you've faced, the battles you've endured, and the storms you've weathered. These are not just obstacles. They are chapters of courage. They are the turning points that transformed your pain into purpose. It's in those moments, when you chose not to give up, when you turned setbacks into stepping stones, that your true character was revealed. That quiet resilience, that unwavering determination, those deeply human moments of struggle followed by growth. Those are the stories that inspire. They're the stories of hope that someone else may need to hear one day. So whatever you're facing today, don't forget this truth. You can get through anything. You've done it before, maybe more times than you've acknowledged. And you can do it again. You are stronger than your doubts, braver than your fears, and more capable than you've ever been told. Within you is the power to rise, to rebuild, and to create something meaningful from even the hardest seasons. And as you continue walking forward through whatever lies ahead, remember, every step you take is a victory. Every small act of courage matters. Every moment you choose not to give up is living proof of your strength. Wishing you continued strength, joy, and clarity on your journey. Stay well, stay hopeful. And don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Daily for more messages to uplift your spirit and empower your path.